Two guys of Minnesota sports flowing in their veins. Mackey and Judd on Score North and ScoreNorth.com.
Special guest alert on this episode. Tomorrow night, AEW Dynamite is at Target Center. Tickets available at AEWTix.com. The audience knows that Judd, whenever we talk wrestling, Judd's not a wrestling fan, but Declan and I are diehards going back multiple decades. And our special guest on this show today, this is a bucket list, I think, for us, and you probably hear that all the time, sir, is a 16-time world champion. He's got more cars than most of you have friends. He is a kiss-stealing, wheeling-dealing, jet-flying, limousine-riding son of a gun. Ric Flair, the legend, joins the Mackey and Judd show.
Thank you.
The Nature Boy.
Thank you.
How are you today, sir?
Very good, thank you.
AEW, let's direct the audience again to AEWTix.com. Also, let's get the plugs in here because you got an energy drink. Go ahead, plug whatever you want right now, Rick. You're on YouTube, you're on podcast.
We're plugging AEW.
Okay, AEWTix.com.
Woo Energy is one of the sponsors of AEW, so it's a big deal for me.
Okay. We're kind of licking our wounds today here. So we'll get into some Minnesota stuff because you do have Minnesota roots, but the Vikings got embarrassingly beat on Monday Night Football last night.
I watched.
Are you a Vikings fan at all?
No.
I
was as a kid, obviously.
Yeah.
But no, I moved down south, and then it's funny with me in football. All the guys that I've been friends with over the years, like LT and Bruce Smith, and like I still talk. I mean, I keep up with these guys and see them. And I just talked to Jim Kelly the other day. I think the Buffalo Bills and the Vikings are the only two teams that have been 4 times and haven't won, right?
0 for 4. Yeah, the Vikings at least spread it out over like the 70s. The Bills are like four years in a row.
Yeah, I know, yeah. But
right
I talked to Jim Kelly the other day, and I, so about the only guy that I still know now that's playing, like now that Tom and Gronk are both gone, is Aaron Rodgers.
Okay.
So I was really pulling for Aaron to have one of the Jets, and I mean I was in Ohio. Place was packed. I mean, we were waiting in the 4th play of the game. He went down. I couldn't believe it.
So do you think he comes? So he's apparently going to try and come back like 3 months after that surgery.
They're 4-7, right?
Yeah.
And do I think it's possible? Let me tell you what modern science has done with Achilles and injuries and stuff like that. Just as opposed to when I tore mine 5 years ago, I had stem cell rather than surgery, and it took 3 months. But I never had to wear a boot or anything. I mean, I just kind of walked with a limp a little bit,
Yeah.
But now that's all gone. You're always once you tear that, you're always conscious of stepping off high things and that. But I hope if they were to win the next 2 games, what are they, 4-7, right?
Yeah.
If they won 2 games without him, and we're still a contender, because I think it's wide open still right now.
There's I think they'd have to probably win all of their remaining games.
Yeah.
But I mean, the quicker he can come back. Now, Kirk Cousins tore his Achilles here, and he's I'm just gonna be out for a year. I'm not gonna try the Aaron Rodgers route.
Yeah.
So, let's talk wrestling here. What's the next chapter for Ric Flair? What Ric Flair plus AEW equals what for you? What is your next chapter in this business?
Whatever they want me to do. I'm going to be here for 2 years.
Yeah.
So,
is there anything you haven't done that you want to do? Is there anyone that you haven't interacted yet with in a ring or on a microphone in that company?
No. Uh-uh.
By the way, we were looking today. Something popped up here. What today is the 38th anniversary of Starrcade '85.
Yeah.
You and Dusty.
Me and Dusty.
Yeah. You and Dusty with the 4 Horsemen getting involved at the end there.
Yeah, and that was in Atlanta. We had a riot. The one where I turned on him, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. In a cage match?
No, that was not a cage match.
This was the regular.
This was. I mean, look at you guys were going at it for probably an hour. I think this might have been after the Hard Times promo. This might have been the next match between you guys.
Okay. Hard Times. That was the best one. He was incredible.
He was. Rick,
incredible.
Anyone on the AEW scene, male or female, that kind of reminds you of a little bit of Nature Boy, that's got a little bit of it? I know not everyone can have all the Nature Boy, 'cause you're one of a kind, but is there anyone on that AEW roster, man or woman, that reminds you of some Nature Boy? Got a little Ric Flair in them?
Oh, I think MJF does.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's really good. Yeah, he probably is more well-behaved than I was. Hopefully.
I feel like the list of people more well-behaved than Ric Flair is like a pretty long list, Rick.
Absolutely.
In fact, we had.
I don't think he enjoys the nightlife like I used to.
No, in fact, it's funny you bring that up because we used to, in this studio here, we used to do a 4-hour talk radio show on 1500 ESPN. Yeah. And I can't remember if it was after, it was either a documentary or like, you were like featured in a ESPN or something. One of the many things you've been featured in.
30 for 30?
It might have been the 30 for 30. And we were having a conversation and callers and stuff. And the question was, is that stuff? And there's no way, man. Like, Rick's not going out. He's not spending $10,000. Like, is all this stuff real? Honest to God's truth. So Greg Gagne and Jim Brunzell both called into the show on separate days and said, honest to God's truth, I was out. I couldn't keep up with that guy, but I rolled with that guy back in the territory days.
They're both still around. I talked to Jimmy the other day. I'll call Greg before I leave. He actually called me this morning when I was on the air, so I couldn't answer. But yeah, they've seen me roll.
Rick, it seems like too. What I love about AEW is you guys have made a great effort of coming back here all the time. You know, the Full Gear pay-per-view was a couple years ago when Hangman won his title, and you had the Quake at the Lake, then epic battle between Jericho and Moxley last year. I mean, you obviously grew up here too. The Minnesota wrestling fans are huge here, and it seems like AEW is always looking to come back here and serve them and get them what they want.
Yeah. Well, it's a great market. Minneapolis is a phenomenal sports town. I mean, besides for ice fishing, I have to put in hockey.
Right.
I'd have to put wrestling right there with them. You know what I mean? And football, obviously.
Yeah.
By the way, the new stadium is beautiful. I haven't seen it till.
Did you drove by it, or
drove by it today? I haven't been inside it. No.
You got to get in there at some point.
They were in last night, right?
Yeah. Kind of.
Yeah.
They were physically there. I'm not sure if they.
How's their attendance? Good. Still.
They pack it. Yeah.
Good.
It is. I mean, basically, when they had some attendance issues in the early to mid '90s. Once Randy Moss got drafted in 1998, sellouts for basically 25 straight years.
How good is Randy Moss? My God, I love watching him on and what's it called?
The NFL, Countdown, right? Or Monday
NFL, no, on Sunday morning.
The Sunday morning pregame show.
Yeah.
It's great. I don't know if anyone would have thought that in his career, because he was kind of cantankerous and he wasn't, he was always surly with the media, that he'd become a TV star, 20 years later.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
But boy, was he, I mean, to me, he might be the greatest of all time.
Yeah.
A lot of respect for Jerry Rice. But man, Moss, 4'2", 40, tall, fast. I mean, he made some incredible catches.
It's that peak greatness too. I think I would take Randy Moss at his best. Jerry Rice Jerry Rice was doing it when he was, 40 years old.
Yeah.
And Moss never physically, he just, I don't know, when he was 35, he was kind of done.
Yeah.
But give me the peak version of Moss over any wide receiver, I think, including Rice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, size alone. The guy he probably could have played pro basketball.
Yeah.
When he went, I know for a fact that when he went, you got recruited before ending up at Marshall, he got recruited by Florida and Florida State, and he went out during the recruit, same time of the year as the basketball, and played not pickup, but he played in a game against the Gators.
Yeah.
The team.
Yeah. And he was probably one of the best players on the floor, right?
He was the best player on the floor.
That's insane.
He was, I mean, I don't know what the Gators, where they were ranked, and it wasn't like Billy Donovan was there, but when they won national championships. But, I mean, to just go out and be able to play at that level, it's kind of like when
LeBron?
No, Brock Lesnar came and tried out with the Vikings.
Right.
He hadn't played. He hadn't played since high school.
Yeah.
And he almost made him.
Yeah, it's like his technique was a train wreck, but he was such a physical specimen that he made it.
Still is, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that guy is. So when you look at wrestling prospects, how would you, you look at a wide receiver and you'd say, okay, 4'2", 40, you got to have hands, got to do this, that, quarterback, read a defense. What are the number one and number two attributes for being a star performer in the business? Is promo work number one?
So, do you know about wrestling? Or
wrestling.
Oh yeah, be able to talk on the mic and then being able to pull it off in the ring. You can't just have one. You got to have both to really make it big.
It feels like too now. It's like the guys, and you mastered this at some point early in your career. The ability to sort of to be congruent, where it's believable. You are either living out who you are in the ring, or vice versa.
I was.
I know, that's great. Like MJF, you bring him up, and I don't know. I mean, I've never met MJF in my life, but it's believable. It's like that guy's an ass. That guy's kind of an asshole. I could believe that.
It's very nice.
Okay.
No, but I mean, his character, he's got it down, and he's young. So I mean, to have it going that good at that age is really pretty remarkable.
Yeah.
Is it just trial by fire with those promos? I mean, like I know so many people work in, work out, and is it just trial by fire where you're just failing over and over again and eventually something clicks? Like I gotta imagine there's like some type of an epiphany you eventually have, but I bet it's more, failing than it is succeeding at first.
Well, I think it's believing in what you're saying, and kind of like that's one thing that the WWE does that I'm really not crazy about, but it's not going to change anytime soon. Is they're gonna give the kids a promo, they're gonna write it for them, and rather than letting them. I mean, obviously they have input,
right?
But they that somehow, which I could never understand, and I could never, have been good at it. And I even when I was there, they let me go once in a while, but it was always, because you have to remember the name of the pay-per-view. You have to remember the name.
Right.
Of it. It's like you're plugging 10 events while you're trying to talk about your opponent.
Right, 100%. Yeah.
Yeah, but that wasn't that way in our days. So we just.
Yeah. What was it like in the Crockett days, in the NWA days? All right, you know that you're going to be wrestling Dusty in a cage in a month, but like what are you going to be on TV? It's TBS. The lights are on.
Yeah. You go right there, right out of Buckhead.
No direction.
Right out of Buckhead. No sleep. Right to TV.
Yeah.
9:00 a.m. TBS.
Do you remember the first time you ever nailed a promo where you thought, okay, I know what I'm doing now. I got this.
Oh yeah, I knew that I knew that in the 70s, late 70s. In the 80s, I really had it down. Then I could afford to live what I was feeling.
Right. So you had to fake it a little bit, and then the real Nate came out.
When I got my money for an airplane crash, I went and bought a new brand new Coupe de Ville cash.
Oh my gosh. By the way, AEWTix.com, AEWTix.com for AEW Dynamite at Target Center tomorrow night, and that's tomorrow night, Wednesday night, for people that are just catching this on the podcast right now. Just last thing for you, do you consider yourself Minnesotan? You grew up Edina roots. You did go to the University of Minnesota. Like what percentage of you do you say is Minnesotan, Rick?
Oh boy, it's hard to say. It's funny because that's a funny question, because I'll tell you, nobody ever wanted to say when I was a world champion I was from Charlotte, North Carolina. They wanted to say Minneapolis, Minnesota,
because it was a more prestigious.
Yeah. Nobody knew who Charlotte was.
Yeah,
because it was just a small town, brown bag. When I got there, the highest building was 10 stories high. Look at it now. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So they wanted to call me from Minneapolis. I fell in love with Charlotte, and I just demanded they say Charlotte.
And you would have been, 10th, 11th, 12th guy in line. And think about how many in that era guys coming from Minneapolis.
I know.
Vern and everything.
Yeah, but the great Vern guy and you guys. And Greg, of course. I mean, there's only a few of us left, man.
Yeah.
Von Raschke, Ken Patera, Greg, me, Brunsey. I just heard the other day that Jimmy Carter passed away.
His wife. His wife.
Yeah.
No, Jim Carter.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
The football player.
Yep.
Yeah. So, I mean, I just talked to Bob Stein. How long ago was that? About 3 or 4 months ago. I mean, time just flies by.
Yeah.
Did you meet with Bud Grant? Did you know Bud Grant, the Vikings coach?
No. I knew
knew of him, right?
I knew Jack Patera. I never met Bud Grant. No.
Okay.
I knew Jack Patera was the what were they called, the Purple People Eaters?
Yep.
With Eller and Page and those guys. Gary Larson. Great team.
Yep, they were just need. At some point, we'd like a championship around here. That's
Yeah.
it is a great sports town. You're 100% right, but
Yeah.
it'd be nice to. I think Brock Lesnar is like we can hold him up. He's our multi-time champion across multiple different different things. So
but he wasn't born. He was born in
South Dakota, right? Dak?
South Dakota.
South
but
Dakota.
yeah.
And then I'm pretty sure he just like bought 100 acres up in Canada somewhere to be as far away from people as.
It's more than 100. He got the Yellowstone up there, man.
He actually bought a province in Canada. Is what happened.
It's
just
funny.
eating raw buffalo.
Yeah, he just likes his privacy. But hey, to each his own, man.
He kills moose with his bare hands. And
I'll tell you one thing, I texted him this the other day, and he said that's a big compliment. I said, not only if you become, you're such an attraction, but he has become a hell of a worker.
yeah.
No, he can work and I like it. I didn't, for years he didn't talk. Hell, he cut the hell of a promo.
He does. He
Yeah,
does.
he
He's
does.
this different side of his
He
personality now.
He didn't need him at all. I mean, it was a good gimmick, right? But
Yeah.
man, he has no problem communicating. He's a good talker, everything.
It's fun. And even when he comes back now, like I'll tell you this, the loudest pop I've ever heard in an arena, you've heard 10,000 of them in your life. Well, it's tied. Number one was the Twins won a game 163 playoff against the Tigers in 2009 at the Metrodome.
Yeah.
And it was like 14 innings in 5 hours.
Yeah.
The second one, so my late mother worked for a law firm that confidentially represented some different WWE cases. She could never tell me anything, based on, client attorney privilege, but I was working in Fort Myers, Florida, covering Twin spring training back. This is 2012 or 13. And so I bought a ticket, just one ticket, drove 2 hours across the state to go watch WrestleMania. I think it was The Rock. It was The Rock Cena 1 when it was the match of a lifetime.
In Miami.
Yeah. And then so I come back to my hotel 2 hours later, and my mom calls me in the morning. She goes, I am not allowed to tell you like any details, but you should go to Monday Night Raw. You should drive. You already went to WrestleMania. You should drive back to Monday Night Raw. So I bought a solo ticket again to Monday Night Raw the next night.
Yeah.
And that's when Brock Lesnar came out for the first time in like 8 or 9 years with his little Jimmy John sponsored his trunks, The roof of that arena
Was that Miami
rattled.
as well?
Yep, it was at the American Airlines Arena or whatever it was.
Yeah.
But I don't know that that music hits for the first time. And we had the big return this last weekend. There's nothing like a big return, I guess. Sometimes people need to see someone go away for like 5 or 10 years.
Yeah.
And then come back.
Yeah, he can afford to do what he wants. I mean, I swear, he won't do it because it requires so much. I didn't realize. Well, of course I realized, but I didn't think about the preparation to get ready for the MMA fight.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah.
But he could he'd be a big draw if he went back one more time again.
Yeah.
Same with Ronda. I mean, I saw Ronda the other day. She's not going back. No, she's not going to go back. But Ronda could still draw a hell of a house.
Yeah.
Time away makes the absence makes the heart grow fonder.
And the wallet grow a little thicker because now you're a bigger draw because you went away for 5 years, right?
Yeah, totally. I want to see Ric Flair for MJF in a figure 4. That's also what I want to see in AEW.
Oh, let's make that happen.
What do you think?
Yeah.
Tap his ass out.
Yep, let's see it.
We just need to have a conversation.
Okay.
We'll start there.
A friendly joust.
Oh my gosh. Hey Rick, thanks for coming in here, man.
Thank you, guys.
We appreciate it.
Really enjoying it.
Again, AEWTix.com, AEW Dynamite at Target Center.
And by the way, when I hit that floor tomorrow, guys, we need a Road Warrior pop.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, a Road Warrior pop.
Dude, rest their souls, man.
If you don't get a pop like the Road Warriors, Mike and Joe would be really mad.
Yep. Yeah. One of the more fun, the Super Bowl was here like 6 years ago, and Joe was doing interviews on the floor.
Yeah.
And I think he had a new podcast out at the time, whatever.
Joe Lonias?
Yep.
Yeah, he's a great guy. Man.
And he came over, and I said, dude, I just like bucket list item. Could you and this he did the What a Rush thing was more of a Legion of Doom thing, wasn't it, than a Road Warriors thing?
No,
did they do it for both?
No, that was Mike Hickstrom. What a rush.
So Joe did it. Joe did it on Radio Row, and it was like, and he did it just as well as Mike did it too. But legends,
let me
man.
tell you, Mike was tough. Mike Hickstrand was a tough kid, man, real tough.
You bring him out to the bars.
You bring him out with Harley Race and the guys.
Yep.
Yeah, Mike had a short fuse too, man. We had to hide him at a casino one time in New York for knocking a guy out cold. It's a bar in the casino in Las Vegas.
I can't tell if you are lucky or unlucky that social media didn't exist in the 70s and the 80s. On one hand, you know,
Me?
all this stuff.
Oh,
you know,
I'm real lucky. Are you kidding me?
I mean, on one hand, you could have been even. I mean,
Jeez, I got enough problems with what people just think they heard about me.
Yep. Amazing, man.
Not true. Not true. Nope. Not me. Never.
Don't know what you're talking about.
Don't know what a chance.
Sure. Ric Flair, man. Hey, thank you so much for coming in studio here.
Appreciate
you.
You want a funny Ric Flair story?
Oh, dude, I want all the funny Ric Flair stories.
Okay. 2 weeks ago, I'm sitting at a bar in Charlotte, in Tampa, and this kid comes over to me and he said, "Can I talk for a minute?" I said, "Yeah," but I was watching a football game, so I was a couple places when football is on, I'm hard to communicate with.
Yeah.
And he says to me, "Can I talk to you?" I said, "Yeah." And he goes, "You're my dad." The guy's about maybe 25, 28. I go, "That's a grimace, a nice try." I said, "F off." Quit bothering me. So he went back and he went up and started crying in the corner. And so, of course, my wife goes, "Maybe you are his father." I said, "No." I said, "What?"
He's crying in the corner.
He was crying because I told him to hit the road, Jack. I mean, you know, listen, I've got sisters in South Carolina, brothers in Abilene. I mean, I got relatives I never heard of.
I feel like this is a new business idea. We've got Ric Flair AEW, Ric Flair energy drink, Ric Flair paternity tests available.
Yeah.
Ric Flair paternitytest.com.
Yeah. No, God.
Man, you probably do. I don't even know how many kids you have running around from
I had 2 vasectomies.
One wasn't enough.
That one didn't work first time.
Oh my gosh, man. He's got more cars and kids than most of you have friends. We're not sure. That would get you running around. Oh man. All right, Ric Flair, we appreciate it. We know you're on a schedule here.
Thanks,
anytime Declan and I can talk with a legend like Ric Flair, then it makes our day. So thank you guys for.
I've enjoyed it myself. Thank you guys.
Appreciate you, man. That's Minnesotan Ric Flair, by the way.
The Minnesotan.
Yeah.
Are you guys coming tomorrow night?
We are.
I hope so.
Yep, we'll be there.
Woo!